Number 10. The infinite foam. In 1983, physicist André Linde proposed an extension of cosmic inflation that turned the birth of our universe into something far larger and far more disturbing. He argued that the rapid expansion that created our cosmos never actually stopped. It only stopped here. Everywhere else, it continues endlessly, eternally, spawning new universes in a process with no beginning and no end. His model, called eternal inflation, suggests that space at the largest scale is a churning foam. Each bubble in that foam is a universe, inflating and detaching, carrying its own physical laws, its own constants, its own version of time. Our universe is one bubble. The foam contains an infinite number of others separated by walls of inflating space we can never cross. What makes this theory particularly unsettling is what infinity actually means. Not a large number, not an unimaginable number. Infinite. In an infinite foam, every possible universe exists somewhere, and every one of those universes is sealed off from every other, expanding away faster than light could ever bridge the gap. You are not living in the universe. You are living in a bubble inside a foam that extends forever in every direction. Beyond the wall of your sky, others are forming right now. They will never reach you. You will never reach them. The distance is not large. It is growing. The truly unsettling aspect is that the foam needs nothing to sustain it. It does not run down. It does not exhaust. It produces universes the way a fire produces sparks. Endlessly, indifferently, forever. And somewhere in that foam, a bubble is detaching at this exact moment. A whole cosmos, born and abandoned, that we will never know existed. Number 9. The higher bulk. Lisa Randall spent years working at the edge of theoretical physics, searching for an explanation for why gravity is so strangely weak. In 1999, alongside Raman Sundaram, she published something that reframed the entire question of where our universe sits. She proposed that everything we call reality, every star, every galaxy, all three dimensions of space, is confined to a thin membrane floating in a higher dimensional space. Their model, called brain cosmology, suggests that our universe is a brain, a flat sheet drifting in a larger arena called the bulk. We are stuck to it. Light, matter, every force except gravity is glued to the surface of our membrane, unable to leave. We cannot look into the bulk. We cannot move through it. We are a drawing on a page, and the page floats in a room we cannot perceive. This is where Randall's work crosses from physics into terrifying territory. If the bulk is real, then there is a direction we cannot point to. Not far away, perpendicular to everything. Other brains could drift only a fraction of a millimeter from ours, parallel sheets carrying their own galaxies, their own civilizations, separated from us by a dimension we have no organs to sense. We are not alone in the bulk. We are simply unable to turn our heads. Another universe could be pressed against ours, close enough to touch, and we would feel nothing, see nothing, know nothing. The wall between us is not distance, it is dimension. What Randall could not have known is whether the brains stay apart. They drift. And in some models, they drift toward each other. The truly terrifying part is not the neighbor, it is the approach. Number 8. The restless vacuum. In 1980, physicists Sidney Coleman and Frank DeLucia published a calculation that the scientific community still cannot fully digest. They demonstrated that empty space, the vacuum itself, might not be in its lowest possible energy state. What we call empty could be a false floor, a temporary stability sitting above a deeper, truer vacuum waiting underneath. The core of their work is deceptively simple. A false vacuum is like a ball resting in a dip halfway up a hill. It looks stable. It can stay there for billions of years, but it is not at the bottom. And quantum mechanics guarantees that eventually, somewhere the ball will tunnel through the wall and roll to the true bottom, releasing a catastrophe that expands outward at the speed of light. What makes this theory particularly chilling is the geometry of the disaster. If a bubble of true vacuum forms anywhere, inside our universe or arriving from outside it, it grows. It expands as a sphere of rewritten physics, and inside that sphere, the constants that allow atoms to exist are gone. No warning reaches you. The bubble wall travels at light speed, so the first sign of it would arrive at the same instant as your annihilation. You will never see it coming. There is no telescope that can detect it, no signal that outruns it, no shelter that survives it. If the wall is approaching right now from some distant point in space, you would have no way to know until the moment everything you are simply ceases. And there is no escape from the conclusion. Somewhere beyond our horizon, the vacuum may have already failed. The bubble may already be growing. We are not waiting for the disaster. We may already be inside the time it takes to arrive. Number 7. The other constants. Some cosmologists have proposed that the laws of physics are not fundamental at all, that they are accidents, frozen the moment our bubble formed. The most well-known version comes from Leonard Susskind, who in 2003 described what he called the cosmic landscape, a vast space of possible universes, each with different rules. According to this model, string theory does not predict one universe, it predicts an almost unimaginable number, 10 to the power of 500 distinct sets of physical laws, different gravity, different particles, different dimensions. Our universe is one configuration drawn from a landscape so large that every conceivable variation of reality exists somewhere within it. But the implications run deeper than variety. In the overwhelming majority of those universes, nothing can exist. The constants are wrong, atoms never form, stars never ignite, space tears itself apart in the first instant, or collapses before a single second passes. The landscape is a graveyard. Almost every universe in it is dead. You exist because our bubble landed, by pure chance, on one of the vanishingly rare configurations that permits matter, chemistry, and life, not because the universe was made for you. Because out of a near-infinite lottery, this one ticket happened to work. Every other outcome was a stillborn cosmos. The truly disturbing aspect is what this does to the word meaning. Our laws are not laws. They are settings. One roll of the dice in a casino with more tables than there are atoms in our sky. And somewhere in that landscape, almost every version of reality is already dead, was always dead, and will never know it briefly almost happened. Number 6. The projection. In 1997, physicist Juan Maldacena published one of the most influential papers in modern theoretical physics, a discovery so strange that it took the field years to accept what it implied. He demonstrated a mathematical equivalence between a three-dimensional universe with gravity and a two-dimensional surface without it. The two descriptions were identical, the same reality, written two different ways. His result, built on the holographic principle, suggests that everything happening inside a volume of space can be fully described by information stored on its boundary. The three-dimensional world you move through may be a projection, a richer-looking image generated by data encoded on a distant flat surface. Like a hologram, where a flat sheet contains everything needed to render a solid object floating in the air. What makes this theory particularly haunting is the question of which layer is real. If the boundary contains all the information, then the boundary is fundamental. The depth you feel, the space you walk through, the distance between you and the stars, all of it could be the output, not the source. The true universe would be the two-dimensional sheet. We would be the picture it draws. You have always assumed you live in the volume. But if Maldacena is right, the volume is the illusion. The real you, the actual information that defines you, is smeared across a surface at the edge of everything, flat, and you have never once perceived it. We will never confirm this, but we will never disprove it either. The mathematics work perfectly in both directions, which means reality has two equally valid descriptions, and there is no experiment that tells us which one we are actually living inside. Number 5. The outside pull. Alexander Kashlinsky spent years analyzing the motion of galaxy clusters across enormous regions of space. In 2008, he and his team at NASA published a finding that disturbed the cosmological community. Hundreds of clusters were all drifting in the same direction, toward a single point beyond the edge of the observable universe. Something out there was pulling. Something massive, invisible, and entirely outside our reach. Their discovery, called dark flow, suggested a gravitational source of staggering scale existing beyond the cosmic horizon. Not a galaxy, not a supercluster, something so large that its pull reaches across billions of light years and tugs on everything inside our visible cosmos. The source cannot be seen, cannot be measured directly, and its nature is completely unknown. Strip away the data, and what remains is unnerving. The universe is supposed to look the same in every direction. Dark flow breaks that. It implies that beyond our wall, the cosmos is not uniform, that there are structures out there so vast they dwarf everything we have ever detected, and they are dragging our entire region toward them like a current beneath still water. You are not standing still. You are not drifting randomly. Right now, you and every galaxy you can see are being drawn towards something none of us will ever lay eyes on. We are responding to a gravitational call from beyond the edge of the knowable. The mathematics leave no room for comfort. Whatever the source is, it sits past the one boundary we cannot cross. Exerting force on us across a distance light itself cannot traverse in the age of the universe. And somewhere in that direction, the thing that is pulling us has been pulling since before the Earth existed. Number 4. The mathematical ocean. Some theorists have proposed that the deepest layer of reality is not made of particles or energy at all. The most complete version comes from Max Tegmark, who in 2007 published a paper arguing that the universe is not described by mathematics. It is mathematics. Every structure that can exist as a consistent mathematical object exists fully and physically somewhere. His idea, called the mathematical universe hypothesis, suggests that the reason physics works so well is that there is nothing underneath it. We are a mathematical structure, experiencing ourselves from the inside. And if our structure exists simply because it is consistent, then every consistent structure exists for the same reason. An infinite ocean of mathematics, every equation a world, every world as real as ours. What makes this theory particularly nightmarish is that it removes the last possible refuge. There is no physical substrate, no stuff, no matter that the equations describe. The equations are all there is, and you are a pattern inside one of them. A self-aware fragment of mathematics that mistakes its own structure for a body, a life, a world. You are not made of atoms in any final sense. You are made of relationships, ratios, logical necessity, the same way the number 7 exists whether or not anyone counts to it. You exist because the structure that contains you is internally consistent. Nothing chose to make you real. You simply could not be inconsistent. What Tegmark could not soften is the loneliness of it. In the ocean of all mathematics, your structure is one drop among infinities, indistinguishable in importance from a structure containing nothing but static. Existence is not special. Existence is just what consistency feels like from the inside. Number 3. The drifting observers. In 1896, physicist Ludwig Boltzmann was working on the statistics of entropy when he stumbled into a paradox so strange it still haunts cosmology. He realized that in a universe left to random fluctuation over infinite time, ordered structures can spontaneously assemble from chaos, including, on rare occasions, a fully formed conscious brain, complete with memories of a life it never lived. The idea, now called the Boltzmann brain, suggests that in an infinite or eternal cosmos, conscious observers can flicker into existence from random fluctuations in the void. A brain assembles, holds a single moment of experience, complete with false memories and the conviction of a real past, and then dissolves back into nothing. And here's the problem. In an eternal universe, these random observers vastly outnumber observers like us. But not every physicist accepts this. Many treat the Boltzmann brain not as a prediction, but as a warning, a sign that any cosmological model producing more random brains than real ones must be wrong. The paradox is used to reject theories, not embrace them. The disagreement is real, and it remains unresolved. The chilling part is what you cannot rule out. If random observers outnumber evolved ones, then statistically, you are more likely to be a fluctuation than a person. Your memories of this morning could have formed an instant ago, in the dark, between the stars. The life you remember may have never happened. We will never confirm this, but we will never disprove it either. Every test you could run uses the same, possibly fabricated mind to interpret the result. And somewhere in the void right now, an observer is condensing out of nothing, living one borrowed second, certain it has always existed. Number 2. The Watcher's Substrate. The deepest version of this question has been refined by Nick Bostrom, who in 2003 took an old philosophical worry and gave it the force of probability. He argued that if any civilization ever gains the power to simulate conscious minds and chooses to run even a handful of such simulations, then simulated observers will outnumber real ones, and any given observer is almost certainly one of the simulated. His argument is not mysticism, it is arithmetic. The core claim is that what exists beyond our reality may not be more space, more universes, or more dimensions. It may be a substrate, a computational system running our universe as a process, sitting in apparent reality whose physics we cannot even guess at. Outside is not a place. Outside is a machine. Or a mind. What makes this theory particularly unsettling is its invisibility. A sufficient simulation has no seams. The physics you discover are the physics the system permits. The edge of the universe is not a wall in space. It is the boundary of what the program bothered to render. You cannot reach the substrate, because everything you could use to reach it is made of the same code. You are not necessarily looking out at a cosmos, you may be looking at the inside of something running you. Every star a value, every law a rule in a system you will never see the outside of. Remember the holographic projection from number 6? This is worse. There, the information was at least inside our reality. Here, it is in someone else's. The truly unsettling aspect is the off switch. A rendered world can be paused, copied, or ended without its inhabitants ever knowing. Whatever runs us has never stopped. There is no guarantee it never will. Number 1. The edge of nothing. The oldest version of this question was sharpened by Gottfried Leibniz in 1714, who refined a problem thinkers had circled for millennia into a single devastating line. Why is there something rather than nothing? He recognized that existence itself demands an explanation, that the default state of reality should be nothing at all, and the fact that anything exists is the deepest mystery there is. Every theory on this list assumes there is an outside, a foam, a bulk, a landscape, a substrate. But the most disturbing possibility is that there is no outside, that beyond our universe there is not empty space, not darkness, not even silence. Space is part of our universe. Time is part of our universe. Beyond the edge, there are no dimensions to move through, no moments to pass, no possibility of anything. Not blackness. The absence of the concept of blackness. This is where the question crosses from cosmology into something the mind cannot hold. You can picture an empty room. You cannot picture true nothing because picturing requires space, and there is none. The human brain has no setting for it. We evolved inside something, and the absence of everything is a thought we are not built to complete. And here is the part that does not let go. If true nothing is the natural state, if nothing is what should exist, then our universe is the anomaly, a flaw, a region where the nothing failed to hold. We are not the rule. We are the exception that should not be here, surrounded on every side by a condition we cannot imagine and cannot survive contact with. The mathematics, the physics, the philosophy all arrive at the same closed door. Existence is not the baseline. Nothing is. And there is no escape from the conclusion that everything you are, everything that has ever happened, is a brief disturbance in a stillness that was here before us and will be here after, a stillness that does not wait, does not watch, does not know we ever broke it. And somewhere past the last galaxy, the nothing presses in. It has no edge. It only has us, for now. If you want to see more videos like this, click the video on screen now and make sure to subscribe.